Welcome to the Institute of Jewish Knowledge and Learning. We are with Rabbi Akiva Mann and deep diving into a guide for the Perplexed, the book that changed Judaism. Come discover, take it away, Rabbi Akiva.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. I'm just as excited to see all of you. But I can tell you from here. I don't know about what's doing in Boca or Plantation or Aventura or Davie, but Purim is in the air here. You can feel it on the streets. You can feel it in the air. So Kim, remind me to do a little nigun at 8, not at 8:20 my time, whatever time it is there. What time is it there, by the way? Just so I can capture your mood.
12 noon, and I turn
12
off
noon.
the video
Okay,
because I'm
good.
eating.
Good. Okay. I'm not okay. I'm pretty sure I know where we ended off last week. I have to remember to, in my notes, to put a little thing.
Do you want a little hint? Because I have notes.
Yeah. Give me one little hint. Give me one small
Okay,
little
so
hint.
the last bit that I wrote was, if you believe there is an order, you are close to realizing there is something behind that order, and that Einstein acknowledged that what he had seen, there was something behind the order of the world. Lift our eyes to the heavens and realize that this cosmos is not chaos, said Isaiah.
Okay. That was just from the top of my head.
Oh, you want before that?
That's not in my notes,
Okay,
but
so
it's okay. I think I approximately know where we ended up.
well, you had done 1 and 2 of your 3 numbers, or 4.
Oh, that's important.
So you had finished 1 and 2.
Okay. Okay, so Chevra, it's thank you. Was that Micheline? Yeah.
Yes, it was. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Micheline, for taking such good notes. You probably have better notes than I do. But no, it's because Chevra, it's because of your conversations that spark things, that just come out of me. Okay, so we're at number 2. So Chevra, that I want to talk about that for a moment. Okay. Micheline, repeat the last sentence that you have there, the last 2 sentences that you read.
The last 2 that I already read?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you believe there is an order, you are close to realizing there is something behind that order. Lift your eyes to the heavens and realize that this cosmos is not chaos, from Isaiah. Einstein acknowledged that what he had seen, there is something behind the order of the world.
Okay, so Chevra, I want to talk about that for a moment. When I quoted, when I referred to Einstein and number two was not only Einstein, but it was in terms of Maimonidean philosophy. It was that last thing that was quoted, and it's you have to be able to wrap your minds around this in a very personal and I'm going to use the word mystical way, because this is the beginning of an understanding of divinity and of our topic here, divine providence. What we are attempting to do, and what Maimonides is attempting to do, is to start building a pyramid. And he is starting from the base. He is starting from the base, from the foundation. And he is not only asking us to philosophically, on the deepest of levels, to understand this, while he is mirroring the ideas of Einstein, who didn't exist yet, but he is quoting ideas that are founded in the Torah, and also within philosophical, namely Aristotelian philosophy, that also creates this foundation. Every building is every thought is based on its foundation. And he is saying that this is foundational. This is fundamental to the human, to human understanding of the universe. If you can transcend yourselves to a place where you want an understanding of the depth of the universe, this is fundamental. So it's so ironic that he is quoting Aristotle, who lived well before Maimonides, and he is quoting obviously himself. And this idea extends all the way to, quote unquote, one of the greatest scientists, one of the greatest minds of the 20th century. So this is a fundamental idea that has traveled throughout history amongst the wisest of individuals. That there is an order in this universe to be seen, that is revealed. And that leads us to create an inclination within our imagination that this order in the cosmos, in the universe, is a fingerprint of the divine in the world. The fingerprint of divinity is revealed through this cosmic order. And I want that idea to penetrate. That when you go on vacations, when you go on to exotic places, when you go to not only exotic natural places, but even places where you are exposed to buildings or artifacts of thousands of years of human that you see human innovation, you see ancient ruins, you go see it happens right now that since COVID has somewhat settled down, I mean the extreme elements of COVID has settled down in Israel. There is an influx in Israel today amongst Israelis in the last few weeks to go to Egypt. Egypt is right around the corner. Egypt is the pyramids are around a 40 minutes away from Israel, and so I'm talking about our imaginations, our desire to go see places not only of natural beauty that manifests and reveals a certain order in the universe, but also a certain order in history, and to go back and to see the pyramids and say, Gewalt, human beings created this. It's also not only in nature. So Einstein, when he says at the end of his life that he believes in a God only because he has been exposed to this magnificent order in the universe, not chaos, but cosmos. The opposite of chaos is cosmos. When he can make such a statement from his accumulated wisdom, he is mirroring what Maimonides and what Abraham Joshua Heschel calls the sense of wonder. We begin our spiritual journey with Se'u marom einechem, lift your eyes to the heavens, and sense the wonder of the universe. What Heschel is basically saying is that the universe cannot explain itself. The universe cannot explain itself. Friends, imagine, this is an old metaphor. I'm going to give you an old metaphor and a new metaphor. The old metaphor is, Imagine a desolate place. The plains of the Sahara Desert. And all of a sudden you see a bunch of stones organized exactly in a shape of an arrow. With an arrow with a spear at the top and a long line, and then feather stones in the form of like feathers going like this and feathers on the other side. You see this gigantic form of an arrow in stones in the sand. That revelation is not only an observation about a geometrical form of stones. What you are seeing there in this stone arrow is also evidence that someone else was there before you came to that location. It's evidence, it's witness to some other human being who knew about an arrow, knew about a formation of the arrow, and created that formation through the stones. It is evidence to something else, to a presence that was there. Now that person in the desolate desert says to him or herself, wow, someone else was here. I am not alone. I am not alone. It's simple, but it's something so deep that we ought to be pondering that. The modern metaphor for that is as follows. It's not the exact same metaphor, but ponder this and let me hear your reactions. The cosmos is a place of magnificent order, and Maimonides very much in the Guide for the Perplexed and even in his more straight writings in Mishnah Torah, talks about the magnificent order that exists in the universe, in the cosmos, up above, and in nature down here. So ponder this metaphor. If I tell you about a laboratory, a scientific laboratory that contains 1,000,000 monkeys, and in front of the 1,000,000 monkeys, there are 1 million computers. For 1 million years. So you have 1 million monkeys with 1 million computers for 1 million years. And I say to you that in the combination of the 1 million monkeys and the 1 million computers and the 1 million years, they produced the entire works of Shakespeare. What would you say? And think before you answer. What would you say to that? And what would be your conclusion vis-a-vis what we're talking about right now?
Debbie Kugelman.
It appears that it took a lot of seeding to get Shakespeare to write all his stuff.
It took a lot of what?
Seeding. He was seeded by his garden became his works. So he was seeded with 300 million, 300 million year. All those got to him after they finished doing all the work.
I don't understand at all, Debbie. Sorry. You have to tell me more. Would you buy into the idea? I mean, the metaphor is clear. Would you buy into the idea that 1 million monkeys in front of 1 million computers for 1 million years could ever actually come up with the entire works of Shakespeare we obviously are saying that the monkeys could not do that, but it happened because of 1 million monkeys and 1 million computers and 1 million years, that it happened by coincidence. That's what it happened by coincidence, because given enough monkeys and given enough years, they are going to come up with it. And our answer, I think in a unanimous voice would be still not. Still not. Still not.
Okay, if that didn't actually already answer the question, and Mike and Rabbi Cantorisa have something new to add to that, please, Mike, lower your mic.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Rabbi. Good morning, everybody. I want to first say that I do, as deeply as I can, believe that there is some supervisor in the universe, world, whatever we want to call it. However, I am I think, a believer that from a coincidental standpoint, that the monkeys, given enough monkeys, enough computers, and enough time, would type out the entire Encyclopedia Britannica, Shakespeare, and everything else, given the inordinate amount of time we started, from the beginning of mankind, or the universe. However, you wouldn't have an understanding.
Hold on, Mike. You are saying to me that given 1 million monkeys and 1 million years and 1 million computers, they would produce in order of sentences the complete works of Shakespeare?
I think that the million monkeys and the million number is a metaphor for an unlimited number of monkeys and an unlimited number of computers in unlimited time. And from the random sequencing of just pressing on keys, it could theoretically potentially happen. However, I think the difference in my mind would be that they don't understand what the meaning behind the words are. It hasn't been revealed. It's a garment of letters produced by this random sequence of monkeys, but there's no understanding to it. So it's not the same as the call it the knowing that we have, the thought behind the words, the insight, the essence of God is not there. It's just a mechanical happening by chance.
Mike, I am amazed. I am amazed at your imagination of that might be you might have a very colorful imagination that is way above my statistical imagination, because I use that example as equal to impossible.
Okay.
Equal to impossible.
You're familiar, I think, with the butterfly theory of the butterfly flaps its wings in Australia and it creates a hurricane sometime later in the United States. Same type of improbability, chance theory, but theoretically, that one wave, or if we take one seashell out of the ocean, the entire ocean has to move to fill the space in where we took the seashell out. Again, an improbable happening, but theoretically, from a mathematical conceptual possibility exists. However, I accept your connection to that as being impossible. It's like two parallel lines will never touch together. It's impossible, but theoretically, right, from the way I'm talking, if you went long enough, there could be who knows? So absolutely, I agree with your impossible, that there is something.
I get it. Because the whole point behind the metaphor is that when we see such a refined order in anything, we have to assume that there is an orderliness with a capital O, making arrangements for that order, or the source of any order, any magnificent order that we see has to have a source to that order, because basically everything is in disorder. We see disorder in this universe, but when we do see a semblance of order, there has to be someone producing that kind of that kind of orderliness, that kind of stability. Okay, yeah. But Mike, I'm pleasantly, I accept everything.
But just come back, not now, but come back to the possibility of, is it caring? Is that order? Is the direction, the source of that order? We spoke about this the last couple of weeks. Is it caring? And that's where I'm still looking for guidance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Risa?
Hi. I took it as an analogy. Maybe I thought of it incorrectly, but I kind of use it as an analogy because I think the synonym for the word cosmos is creation. So what I was thinking was, by you giving this wild example or analogy, was that out of this, all of these things were working harmoniously together to create something, even the impossible, or what we would consider impossible.
Right, right.
Okay, so you have the million monkeys, you have the million computers, and you have the million years, and you have the divine overseeing it all. And everything to me, the divine has a hand in everything that takes place, that happens. Therefore, that's where I got this harmonious creation from, even if it sounds completely wild.
No, but Risa, that's exactly the point. That's exactly Maimonides's, Einstein's, and Heschel's. If you see an orderliness in the cosmos, in the universe itself, that orderliness, that harmonious thing has cannot be coincidental, like as Mike's coincidental. Their conclusion is, if you see and the heart, that's a good word that you use, the harmoniousness / orderliness is the evidence itself of source.
We still
with
have
a
one more.
with a capital S.
Okay. We still have Shabri, and then we'll let you get back to Maimonides.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Rabbi, very interesting subject. And I have to say, I don't believe that there has to be order or that represents God. I believe that out of chaos sometimes comes order. So you're labeling it order or chaos. And I think it has something to do with consciousness. And consciousness, which is who we are that consciousness, has a definite propensity towards creativity, just like the one above. And so I believe that there is a possibility. Because of that, there's always a possibility when you're dealing with consciousness. The thing is that we really don't understand it. Or at least I said I don't totally understand it, but I get a inkling of it.
But on that note, if you want to go ahead, Rebecca.
All I'll say about that, Shabri, I hear what you're saying, but you are talking about chaos. When you talk about chaos, you are talking about chaos in the created world. And it is through consciousness that chaos can turn into order. That you are saying that consciousness is able, right, in the created world, when chaos comes, consciousness can create order. But that's not what we speak about when we are talking about real chaos. Chaos in the ordered world has a solution. But Maimonides, we are talking here about nearly before the created world. We are talking about the source of order. And before, we are taught in Genesis that before the B in Bereshit, before the order in the universe was created, which is Bereshit bara, in the beginning God created, what was there before? There was pure chaos. So there's two types of chaos: chaos within the world and chaos of ultimate infinite chaos. That I'll leave it at that. Anyone next?
You are.
Okay. So, Chevra, the minimalistic, the least we can do, says Rambam, says Einstein, says Heschel, says the Hindus, even says Sadhguru. All of some of the great minds, the realization, the minimalistic idea that begins all of spirituality is the admission of the first principle, to know that there is a first God, that there is a source. Someone or something was here before us, in simplistic language. The world was brought into being by something other than itself. And that's what we call source. That's what we call first cause. That's what, when we say in the morning, right in the beginning of our tefillot, we say, Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch she'amar, blessed be the one that said, v'haya ha'olam, let the world be. We pray to that Baruch she'amar, the one who said, so to speak. The presence of the one who said, V'haya ha'olam, let the world be, we attach ourselves to. That presence who said, let the world be in this kind of order, in this kind of harmonious order. That is the one to which our neshamas are drawn towards. That cosmic one. So since nature itself cannot be the cause of its own harmonious organization, the deep order imprinted in the world, this order that we see in the cosmos, is evidence, is manifestation of a transcendent in Maimonides' word, is evidence of the transcendent intelligence at work in the world. And friends, this is the meaning of providence, according to Aristotle. And that is at least the minimal kind of realization that every human being must absorb. Some sort of external wisdom that set up the universe, that set up the world. And if it remains mysterious to you what that thing is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It matters that we identify in the most cryptic and mysterious way. Every religion is setting up that force, that energy in their own way. For the Christians, it's the guy with the beard on the cross. In Judaism, it is that invisible force. In Hinduism, it is a combination of the monkey god and the snake god and the fire god. In Greek mythology, that force was who knows what. But the bare minimum is for us to realize that within Jewish philosophy and Jewish thinking throughout the ages, we surrendered to that being, that energy that was first cause. We have to absorb that very deeply before we speak about the details of providence. And I don't know whether all of us have invested our deep energies into concluding in a very conclusive way that idea. And to that being, to that divinity, to that God, I surrender. I absorb my mind and my heart and myself to that aspect of God. Now, admittedly, this version of divine presence in the world does not include a divine providence with respect to particular individuals. That was Mike's point. Mike wanted to get from that point of how, okay, but tell me now how that sublime transcendent energy that is Mamale kol almin, Visovev kol almin, who fills all that we see and are and surrounds all that we see and are, how that actually presents itself to the individual and how it intercourses with my particular individual life. Admittedly, that is not yet on the board yet. I just want to say, I want to get to the bottom line because I don't think we ponder this enough. The minimalistic idea the pillar, the foundation is there is something above us. there and not to be vertical about it. But there is something in this universe way above us, responsible for us, for all of this. In this minimalistic idea of acknowledging source, the laws of nature are actually blind to human biography. In what way is this cosmos with its source blind? It's blind. I'll use the most simplistic kind of example. If there is a bus with 2 people on it, a bus, 2 people on it, one at the front of the bus is a murderer, and one at the back of the bus is a saint, and they hit an icy patch on the road, both are going to perish when they fall over the cliff. Yes, there is a source to the order of the universe, but when it comes to particular incidences in the course of the history of this world, in the scenario that I just created for you, both the tzaddik and the rasha, the saint and the most evil person in that scenario are both going, if the ice causes them to go over the cliff, both are going to perish when they hit the ground. Why? Why? Because gravity and nature do not distinguish between righteous and wicked. That's why. That is the second postulation. And that basically is one of Aristotle's. But part of Aristotle's, the major part of Aristotle's and Einstein's and Sadhguru and all of the other, they are saying, at least recognize that there is a source behind this world, but the source behind this world is not micromanaging. Leaves things, created gravity, and gravity says when there's a righteous person and a murderer on the same bus, they're going to go over the same cliff. Now I'm going to go to the third postulation, which is an extreme postulation, is an idea that providence is defined, that God, divinity, that source, that every normal person who views the world should already be acknowledging that God, that force, is fully involved in the world. And I'm only bringing in these ideas because some of these ideas that are mamish ancient and also contemporary, but these postulations might be ideas that are going through your mind or going through millions of other people's minds. And we ought to be absorbing all of the possibilities and seeing which one is the fourth one is going to be what the Torah has to say. But I want to present it intellectually, honestly. And the third postulation is that nature and millions, tens of millions of people believe this. I don't know how many of you believe this, but tens, hundreds maybe of millions believe this. That God is fully involved in the world, and that nature as an independent kind of entity disappears. In the time of Maimonides, this was a major theological idea, and it's called the Islamic school of Ashira. Ashira. And you might recognize that from Sharia law, the Islamic Sharia law. This is the school of Ashira that postulated that God decrees in advance everything that will happen, and it does. And by the way, it's that is today within Islamic. I don't know the statistics, but I don't think I would be wrong when I say, well, I can't come up with a proper word right now. I should not say most, because most don't even think in these terms, but a great amount of Islamic theology is based in this idea that nature disappears from the picture, and that everything that occurs has nothing to do with nature, but everything has to do with a decree of the divine to happen. In other words, a tree, according to this theology, a tree that falls in the forest is not brought down by gravity, but rather by divine decision. And I know that some of you might be thinking this, and it's something that has to be addressed, but probably not right now. There is within Jewish theology a kind of expression. I think Susan brought it up last week a little bit, but there is an expression within Jewish theology that is actually very similar to this. And the expression is, everything is bashert. Everything is bashert. And it sounds like a whole bunch of what I just said in the third postulation. It sounds like Ashira law. The Jewish expression, everything is bashert. I want to say right now, I'm not going to get into it. I want to say right now, there is a huge difference theologically about saying with a Jewish accent, everything is bashert, and this Ashira law that everything is a decree and that nature, the laws of nature don't exist. The laws of nature in postulation number 3 is just a surface level and is really just a joke. It's really a decree for everything that falls. A leaf that falls from the tree to the ground is divinely decreed. The answer between Jewish and this is going to be in our fourth postulation, is when the Rambam presents the Torahic view of combining the laws of nature and divine providence. When there is a combination where there is not a rejection of nature and everything is the will of God, but where there is a combination and a partnership. There is a working some semblance of a working partnership between divine providence and nature. We do not, and certainly Maimonides does not negate the influence and the workings of nature within our existence.
Rabbi Akiva, before you go on to number 4, Bruce has
Yeah,
his
please.
hand. And then Marilyn will be right after Bruce.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi, Brusela.
The question, let's see where I have it, is God is fully involved with the world. Does this imply that God's energy is involved in the outcome, in the existence and outcomes of happenings in civilization My question,
Bruce, of everything.
okay, my question is, does that mean that God is or is not judgmental?
It means see, this third postulation, I wanted to like leave it a little philosophical, but Bruce, I think what you're saying is an important. It's an important clarification. This third postulation is so unbelievably frickin' extreme that we're going to see it when I come to the fourth, but
Okay.
what it does when I say that in this third postulation, God is fully involved. I shouldn't have said fully. I should have said completely and absolutely involved. Fully might have been misleading. Completely and absolutely involved, which means there is little room left open for free will, number one, and creates a universe in this third postulation, creates a universe in which the divinity is the absolute puppet master, and all of humanity and all of the world are the puppets. That somehow divinity is one big play of puppet master with strings attached and puppets somehow following through destiny wheels and following the vibrations and the hand motions of the divine puppet master. The third postulation is the most dangerous. It takes every ball out of our court and puts it in the divine court, and we have, so to speak, humanity has no say. This world is just one big play.
Okay.
One big compelling play. And this is a large or semi-large ideology that is written in Islamic theology.
Thank you, Rabbi Akiva. Marilyn will be at the
Okay.
last one before we come back to the lecture.
I like to think of myself as in a partnership with God. I plant the tomato seed, I stake the plant, I water the plant, I nourish it, I pick it, and I enjoy it. But where did the seed come from? Now, before there was the seed, there was nothing. So first I'm provided with the seed, and then if I use what God gave me wisely and cautiously, I have what it produces and what it gave me. I only know what I witness. What I don't witness, like who created the seed when there was nothing, I have to have a source of belief because it's too marvelous. The earth we live in is so phenomenal that it has to have some kind of inspiration to accept nature and to accept what we are.
Beautiful. Marilyn, thank you. Thank you. I have, Marilyn, and Chevra, I have come across farmers that actually, are hugely involved with nature, with tomatoes, with seeds, with animals being reproducing and being born. I have had the honor and the privilege to be around, had friendships with farmers, and the farmers are the ones that mamish get this. They get this so clearly, so beautifully, so sublimely. On a sublime level, they understand the first and second postulations, that behind their crops, behind their farms, there's just behind nature, that there is something miraculous occurring. There has to be something behind that. There has to be some energy. The native, I've had the privilege when I lived in Arizona to be close to some Indian chiefs and the Native American Indians for around 6 months there. Their appreciation coming from the land, their appreciation of divinity is mamish like something else that we mamish don't realize. We don't realize that they really feel it in every fiber of their bodies and of their consciousness, the holiness of the land, the holiness of the wind, and they all ultimately bring it back up to some divine source and call it a name. I wish we Jews would have that appreciation on that level. Kim, anyone else?
We're waiting for number 4 with bated breath.
Okay, so here comes, this one is going to be more complicated than all of the others. Maimonides says, it's so beautiful how he says it. He says, after these 3 theories, I want to present the Torah's view. And it's important to note how he starts off. He's trying to say this is the Torah's view of source and how source manifests its divine providence over the cosmos, over the created world. And it's so interesting, Chevra, how he starts off. This is how he starts off. The view of the Torah and our holy sages, and the view of Moses represented in the Torah, peace be on him, peace be on him. You would think he starts off with something about God. He doesn't. He says that the fundamental principle of the law of Moses is that man has an absolute ability to act freely as in his or her capacity to do anything. He starts off with the idea of free will in man. And then says, it is likewise a fundamental principle of the Torah that it is not possible that God could be unjust, and that all calamities that befall humans and good things that come to men are all determined according to the ways of man, through equitable judgment in which there is no injustice whatsoever. And then quotes a verse, Ki chol derachecha mishpat, for all thy ways are justice. And if we do not understand, it is because of our ignorance. So we're going to talk about this. Both postulation number 4 and number 3. Number 3 was basically Aristotelian, but it was Aristotelian that Maimonides kind of agrees with, but with a qualification of number 4. Okay? Both Maimonides and Aristotle, they both describe a world in which there are laws of nature. Okay, correct? And later, as I mentioned before, later on, the Rambam describes such a beautiful symbiotic relationship between God and nature, and the close partnership between the Torah and nature. But in this one, both Aristotle and Maimonides, in contradistinction to the Ashira postulation, Aristotle and Maimonides agrees about the validity, the reality of nature, how nature plays within our playground. But in Torah, Maimonides is saying, in number 4, in Torah, the difference has to do with miracles. They both agree that nature is is a force of nature in the world, and nature is in symbiotic relationship with divinity. The only difference is Maimonides adds in the Torah view, miracles exist because that had to happen, Chaver, right? I had to speak. Maimonides had to speak about miracles. It's not only nature and source. It's what about miracles in terms of divine providence? We have miracles in our tradition. It seems a little to contradict. Aristotle does not have miracles in his equation. We do. So Maimonides says the only difference between myself and Aristotle's view is about miracles. And what I have to say about miracles, Maimonides says, miracles do not take the place of nature, but they do intrude upon nature. Now it sounds to me like a little like Mike was saying before. In Torah, in contradistinction to Aristotle, in contradistinction to be a total absolute naturalist, in Torah, nature is not absolutely static. Maimonides is saying, yes, nature and everything in nature is the norm, but nature is not static. Divinity demonstrates involvement not only in the laws of nature, within the laws of nature, radical amazement, wonderment, but also sometimes miraculously breaking the laws of nature. Friends, in simple terms, Maimonides is mamish making it so he's reducing it to a very simplistic, without his philosophical talk, he would be he would be getting through to us, and that's why we need like interpretation of the Guide for the Perplexed. What Maimonides is saying here is that yes, nature is a vehicle of divinity, but nature has its laws. So the laws of nature are really intact and observable in the world of Malchut. The world of Malchut runs by the fuel of nature. Of course, it's not all like number 3. It's not all everything is decreed by God at every second of the day. God implements something called nature by which the world revolves around. Nature is real. But Maimonides qualifies and says, but don't forget that divinity is above nature. Divinity, source, can intervene, can intrude. I like that word, intrude upon nature. Do not leave that out of your imagination. Do not believe that nature is your ultimate God, that science is your God, that the perceivable is the only thing that really is there. Yes, God created nature, and God relies on nature. But you know what, says Maimonides? God is not a slave to nature. God is not nature's slave. Know that, Jews. That was not known in the times of Egypt, where the Nile was the Nile, which was a manifestation of nature. What was the source of all sustenance in the time of our stint in Egypt. The Nile, nature, was God. Was one of the gods of Egypt. That's why the first plague was the Nile. You think the sustenance comes from actually nature? Says the Keter level. You think nature is your God? Nature is a fantastic vehicle of divinity. But if you start confusing nature with source, I'll turn your Nile into blood. So God relies on the divine invention of nature, but God is not a slave to nature. And friends, that is the point. That is the point. It's so simplistic, but it's like ultimately so deep. If we got that, we'd all be so connected. We'd be just with this idea. We'd have great epiphanies just out of this. So this is the point. This is the point that why Maimonides is presenting the viewpoint, the theology, the God ideas from the Torah, and says this is why we in the Torah we keep on saying repeatedly Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim, in remembrance of the redemption from Egypt. In the Ten Commandments, how does the Ten Commandments start? Anochi, Anochi, I am. Imagine divinity just saying I am, and then wants to go on and do a little description of who is this I am of the universe? Who is the I am of the universe? So what would you expect after, this is the first four words of the Ten Commandments. The first one is Anochi, I am. What would you expect to come after that? What is going to come after that is a description of who the I am is. And Maimonides says, you know what? The I am is not described in the next few words as I am the one who created heaven and earth. One would think that. It's not the one who created heaven and earth. Because you know why? Because heaven and earth is synonymous to nature. And God says, Dafka, the voice of God at Mount Sinai, Dafka says, I don't want to confuse people. I am not going to reveal myself as the force that created heaven and earth. I am going to describe myself in the next few words as I am the one who took you out of Egypt. Yes, I am the God of nature. I am the source of nature, but that is not my greatest acclaim to fame. I don't want you to confuse divinity and nature. Nature exists, yes, and I created the possibility of nature. But I am above nature, implies the first commandment. I'm above nature. I don't have to tell you I'm above other idols, I'm above other deities. I don't have to mention that. What I do want to mention, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, Asher Hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am the Lord your God who is your friend. I am the Lord your God who you must view as a compassionate divinity. not only a divinity that reveals itself through nature and by nature and with nature, but I am above nature, and I am telling you that I have a personal connection with you. And when you are in trouble in Egypt, when you are suffering unjustly, I am your God at that time. It was a clear indication that I am above nature. I work with nature, but I am above nature. Ushmi Hashem, but how you should be perceiving me is the one who has descended to come join you, to come help you, to come be with you, to come dwell within you.
Rabbi Akiva. It is 1:31.
Oh, wow,
and
okay.
We need a song, but you can give us a directive to ponder until we meet with you next week.
I just gave you a directive to ponder.
True story.
Okay, okay, I wanted like a 10-minute thing because there's no questions, no nothing.
Well, there have been, but you are over time, so you have a choice.
Okay.
You can open discussion, or you can wish us an Adar.
Okay, okay. Okay, what do I feel like here? I kind of feel like a slow niggin, so we can absorb.
And on that beautiful note, we will look forward to seeing you next week. I just put into the chat that you will be hosting us for